Hello and welcome to our video on the role of gender and sexuality in modern love. As our society evolves, so too do our attitudes towards love and relationships. While love has been a part of human experience for as long as we can remember, the ways in which we express it and the expectations we have surrounding it have shifted dramatically over time. Throughout history, gender roles have played a significant role in shaping our attitudes towards love and relationships. Men and women were often expected to conform to certain roles and behaviors that were prescribed by society. These expectations could lead to power imbalances and unequal relationships that were often based on outdated and harmful gender stereotypes. Similarly, traditional ideas about sexuality have also played a role in shaping our attitudes towards love and relationships. For a long time, society has placed strict expectations on individuals when it comes to sexual orientation, gender identity, and sexual behavior. These expectations have often been based on heteronormative and cisgender norms, which have limited people's ability to express their true selves in the context of romantic relationships. However, in recent years, there has been a shift towards more inclusivity and diversity in love and relationships. With the rise of the feminist movement and LGBTQ+ rights, traditional gender roles are being challenged and redefined. This has led to more freedom and acceptance for individuals to express their gender and sexuality in ways that feel authentic to them. In this video, we'll explore the ways in which gender and sexuality continue to shape our attitudes towards love and relationships. We'll delve into the challenges that individuals face when it comes to expressing their true selves, and we'll examine the ways in which communication can help to overcome these challenges. We'll also look at the future of gender and sexuality in love and relationships, and what we can expect as our society continues to evolve. So, without further ado, let's dive into the fascinating and complex world of gender and sexuality in modern love. Defining gender and sexuality. When it comes to the role of gender and sexuality in modern love, it's important to start by defining these terms. While gender and sexuality are often used interchangeably, they are actually two distinct concepts that are important to understand in the context of modern relationships. Gender refers to the socially constructed roles, behaviors, and expectations that are associated with being male or female. In many societies, gender is seen as a binary construct with two distinct categories, male and female. However, it's important to recognize that gender is a spectrum, and individuals may identify as non-binary, genderqueer, or transgender. Gender can manifest in a variety of ways, from the way an individual dresses to the roles they play in relationships. For example, a person who identifies as male may be expected to be the breadwinner in a traditional relationship, while a person who identifies as female may be expected to take care of the home and children. These gender expectations can be limiting and can lead to inequality and conflict in relationships. Sexuality, on the other hand, refers to an individual's sexual orientation, desires, and attractions. It is a complex and multifaceted concept that can be difficult to define. While many people identify as heterosexual, attracted to the opposite gender, others may identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, or asexual. Sexuality can be influenced by a variety of factors, including biology, culture, and personal experience. It is not a choice, but rather a natural aspect of a person's identity. However, societal norms and expectations can often make it difficult for individuals to express their true sexuality in the context of romantic relationships. It's important to recognize that gender and sexuality are not fixed concepts, and they can evolve and change over time. It's also important to respect and accept individuals for who they are, regardless of their gender identity or sexual orientation. By understanding these concepts and being open to diversity and inclusivity in relationships, we can create a more accepting and loving society for all. Traditional gender roles in love and relationships. For much of human history, traditional gender roles have played a significant role in shaping our attitudes towards love and relationships. Men and women were often expected to conform to certain roles and behaviors that were prescribed by society. These expectations could lead to power imbalances and unequal relationships that were often based on outdated and harmful gender stereotypes. In traditional heterosexual relationships, men were often expected to be the breadwinners and the primary decision makers, while women were expected to take care of the home and children. Women were also expected to be submissive and accommodating to their partner's needs and desires. These gender roles could lead to unhealthy and unequal relationships, with women being particularly vulnerable to abuse and exploitation. Women were often denied access to education, employment, and other opportunities, which limited their independence and autonomy in relationships. This made it difficult for them to leave abusive or unsatisfying relationships, as they were financially and socially dependent on their partners. Furthermore, traditional gender roles could also limit men's ability to express their emotions and vulnerability in relationships. Men were expected to be strong and self-sufficient, and any display of weakness or emotion was seen as a sign of weakness. This could lead to men feeling isolated and disconnected in relationships, as they were unable to fully express themselves to their partners. While traditional gender roles have been challenged and redefined in recent years, they continue to shape our attitudes towards love and relationships. It's important to recognize the harmful effects of traditional gender roles and work towards creating more equal and equitable relationships. By promoting communication, respect, and mutual understanding in relationships, we can create a more loving and fulfilling experience for all. Gender and sexuality in modern love. In recent years, there has been a growing awareness and acceptance of different gender identities and sexual orientations. This has led to a redefinition of traditional gender roles and norms, and a greater emphasis on inclusivity and diversity in relationships. One of the most significant changes in modern love has been the acceptance and recognition of non-binary gender identities. Non-binary individuals identify as neither male nor female, and may use pronouns such as they or them to describe themselves. This has challenged the traditional binary gender system and opened up new possibilities for self-expression and identity in relationships. Similarly, there has been a greater acceptance and celebration of different sexual orientations, including those that were previously stigmatized or marginalized. This has created a more open and accepting environment for individuals to express their true selves in romantic relationships, without fear of judgment or discrimination. In modern relationships, gender and sexuality are seen as fluid and evolving concepts, rather than fixed or static categories. This has allowed individuals to explore and experiment with different expressions of gender and sexuality in a safe and supportive environment. It has also created new possibilities for love and intimacy, as individuals are no longer constrained by traditional gender roles or norms. However, despite these positive changes, there is still much work to be done to create truly equitable and inclusive relationships. Discrimination, stigma, and prejudice continue to affect individuals based on their gender identity or sexual orientation, and many still face barriers to acceptance and inclusivity in relationships. It's important to continue to challenge these barriers and work towards creating a society that is truly accepting and loving for all. The importance of communication. Effective communication is a fundamental pillar of any successful relationship, and it is particularly important when it comes to navigating the complex issues of gender and sexuality in modern love. Communication involves both verbal and nonverbal expression, and it is essential to create a safe and comfortable space for both partners to express themselves openly and honestly. In modern relationships, where traditional gender roles and norms are being challenged and redefined, it is critical to communicate openly about one's gender identity and sexual orientation. One of the most important aspects of communication in modern relationships is being aware of the diverse range of gender identities and sexual orientations. Understanding that gender and sexuality are fluid and exist on a spectrum is crucial to being able to communicate effectively with a partner. By recognizing and acknowledging the diverse experiences and identities that exist within the LGBTQ+ community, we can promote understanding, empathy, and support. Part of effective communication is also being able to communicate one's own thoughts and feelings, and listen actively and empathetically to a partner. This requires creating a safe and non-judgmental space for both partners to express themselves freely without fear of criticism or rejection. By actively listening and responding with empathy, partners can build mutual trust and respect, which can enhance their emotional connection. When it comes to gender and sexuality, effective communication also involves being able to communicate one's preferred pronouns, specific labels, or boundaries and preferences. This can involve being open and honest about one's gender identity and sexual orientation, as well as any concerns or insecurities that may arise from these identities. By establishing open lines of communication, partners can work together to create a supportive environment that fosters understanding and acceptance. Furthermore, effective communication involves being aware of one's own biases and prejudices, and working to overcome them. This may involve examining one's attitudes towards gender and sexuality, and challenging any harmful or limiting beliefs that may exist. By recognizing and challenging these biases, we can promote inclusivity and create a more equitable and supportive relationship. In conclusion, effective communication is a critical factor in creating a loving and fulfilling relationship. By promoting openness, understanding, and respect, partners can work together to navigate the complex issues of gender and sexuality in modern love, and create a relationship that is built on trust and mutual support. It is essential to establish a foundation of trust and mutual support through open communication, which allows partners to navigate these complex issues in a healthy and fulfilling way. The future of gender and sexuality in love. As society continues to evolve and progress, the roles of gender and sexuality in love are also changing. With greater awareness and acceptance of diverse gender identities and sexual orientations, the future of gender and sexuality in love is exciting and filled with possibilities. One of the most significant shifts in recent years has been the growing recognition and celebration of gender and sexual diversity. As more people come out and openly express their gender identities and sexual orientations, there is a growing sense of community and solidarity within the LGBTQ+ community. This has helped to break down barriers and promote greater acceptance and understanding among people of all genders and sexual orientations. In the future, it is likely that we will see a continued expansion of gender and sexual diversity in relationships. This may include the creation of new labels and identities, as people continue to explore and express their gender and sexual identities in new and innovative ways. Additionally, as traditional gender roles continue to be challenged and redefined, we may see a greater emphasis on equity and mutual support in relationships, rather than rigid roles and expectations based on gender. As technology continues to advance, it is also likely that we will see new and innovative ways of expressing and exploring gender and sexuality in love. Virtual and augmented reality may allow people to experiment with new identities and experiences in a safe and controlled environment, while online communities and social media may continue to promote greater awareness and acceptance of diverse gender and sexual identities. However, it is important to recognize that the future of gender and sexuality in love is not without its challenges. Discrimination and prejudice against people of diverse gender and sexual identities continue to be a significant issue, and it is essential to continue to fight against these forms of bigotry and hate. Additionally, as people continue to explore and express their gender and sexual identities, it is important to ensure that all relationships are based on respect, mutual consent, and open communication. In conclusion, the future of gender and sexuality in love is exciting and full of possibilities. As society continues to evolve and progress, we are likely to see a continued expansion of gender and sexual diversity in relationships, as well as new and innovative ways of exploring and expressing gender and sexuality. By promoting awareness, acceptance, and open communication, we can create a more inclusive and equitable future for all people, regardless of their gender or sexual orientation. Conclusion. In conclusion, the role of gender and sexuality in modern love is complex and multifaceted. It is influenced by societal norms, cultural expectations, individual identities, and personal experiences. While traditional gender roles and expectations have played a significant role in shaping our understanding of love and relationships, it is important to recognize the ways in which they can be limiting and exclusionary. As we move towards a more inclusive and equitable future, it is important to embrace and celebrate the diversity of gender and sexual identities. This means promoting greater awareness, acceptance, and understanding of different gender and sexual orientations, as well as challenging and redefining traditional gender roles and expectations. Communication is also essential in modern love. By openly discussing our needs, desires, and boundaries, we can create more meaningful and fulfilling relationships. This includes being able to openly express and explore our gender and sexual identities, as well as respecting the identities and boundaries of our partners. Looking towards the future, it is likely that we will see a continued expansion of gender and sexual diversity in relationships, as well as new and innovative ways of expressing and exploring gender and sexuality. While there may be challenges along the way, it is important to remain committed to promoting acceptance, respect, and equity for all people, regardless of their gender or sexual orientation. In summary, the role of gender and sexuality in modern love is constantly evolving, and it is important to remain open to new ideas and perspectives. By promoting greater awareness, acceptance, and communication, we can create more meaningful and fulfilling relationships, and work towards a more inclusive and equitable future for all.